Hey guys, tonight Marine here doing a video. It won't take too long, I hope, anyway, but talking about how to get into the fire service. As you guys know, that is what I do for work now. I'm a firefighter, and I get quite a few questions on people asking general advice. What did I do to get through it? Because it can kind of be a maze at times. And so I'm gonna lay it out for you is in as basic and straightforward a manner as I possibly can. And if you have any questions, by all means, I don't check the YouTube comments anymore. So if you do have a question about the video, hit me up on my Facebook, which is just facebook.com/29marine, just all spelled out for the URL there, and I'll get back to you for sure. I don't look at the YouTube comments anymore. It's just, one, a lot of the videos get just a ton of comments. It would take me 10 years to answer all of them. And two, I in general, I don't have time. So Facebook, I have my phone with me. I can answer it pretty easily that way. So yeah, Facebook or Twitter, which is the same URL. So, all right, guys. So the number one, or to start out, just getting started right out the gate, is one, verify that this is what you want to do. That the fire service is what you want to do. And the reason I say that is kind of twofold. One, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of pain and suffering occasionally to get this job. It is an insanely competitive job, so you're going to be working your butt off. And if you work your butt off and you go through all this stuff, and you finally get on the job and realize you don't like it, that'd be devastating, right? For me, it took 3 years to get hired. And to go through 3 years worth of work and then realize that you don't even like the job, that would suck. So if possible, hit up your local fire department and see if they do ride-alongs. See if you can tag along with the crew for part of a shift and to see what they do and see if it really is something that you would enjoy. And the second part of that is you need to really evaluate. And this one's kind of harder because what I'm going with this is that you run on a lot of calls where you see things that you cannot unsee. And sadly, the main reason people call us is because something really, really bad is happening to them or to a family or a friend or whatever. And so the reason why this one is more difficult to kind of know for sure is because unless you've seen a lot of these kind of things, you're not going to know whether or not it's something that you can handle and deal with. And it doesn't make you weak or less of a man or less of a woman or whatever if you can't just deal with seeing people dying and dead and all this other stuff on a daily basis. No one's going to look down at you, right? If you just have a hard time with that. But you kind of want to make sure that you're mentally okay and you are able to deal with that sort of stuff. So yeah, just had to get that out there. That way we kind of know where we're going with this. So that's the step one. Boom. All right, you know that you want to do this job. You know you want to be a firefighter. Now, where do you go from there? The first thing is to make sure that you are in shape. Because one, you're going to have to take what's called a CPAT or something very similar to it, which really honestly isn't the most difficult of all physical ability tests, but they can be pretty tough, especially if you don't work out consistently. So one, make sure you're in shape. Get running, lift some weights, do CrossFit, whatever it is you do, but get out there and stay in good shape. Eat right, don't eat like an asshole, and that'll cover the whole first step. For a lot of people, that physical aspect of the job is kind of a challenging thing, especially once you get to your academy for your department. The academy is intended to kick your ass. And trust me, it will. One, you're going to work out, and they're going to work you into the dirt doing that. But the two, you're going to spend your days pulling hose, throwing ladders, wearing, anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds worth of gear. And you're going to be up and down stairs. You're going to be climbing ladders. You're going to be pulling hose, which you wouldn't necessarily think that hose is heavy. But let me tell you what. When you fill that hose up with water, it's heavy as shit. And when you're trying to pull that with your SCBA on and your pack and everything else, it wears on you. And so being in shape will make life a lot easier for you. So 1, make sure you're in shape. And 2, you're going to have to take a written test of some nature. I work in Washington State, which uses a company called Public Safety Testing .com to do their testing, and there's a couple other states that use it. I don't know which ones offhand, if I'm 100% honest with you, but you can do that. Most other states, I believe, use something called National Testing Network, and which is pretty much the same deal, just a different company doing the same thing. And they're going to run you through your physical test, and then they'll run you through the written test. And these tests are designed generally to, as long as you paid attention in high school and you kind of learned a bit there, you should be able to pass them. But it wouldn't hurt. A lot of these places offer where when you're going to go, like you sign up for the test, they offer the chance to get a study guide, and you'll probably have to pay a little bit more money, but buy the study guide and just study your butt off, get your mind in the right frame, and focus on what you need to do, and then get in there and hit that test. And like some departments, like for instance Seattle Fire, they do their own test. Portland Fire in Portland, Oregon, they do their own written test. And so you'll have to kind of learn what their tests are and kind of how they do things. But either way, study for it as best you can. And don't feel discouraged when you go in there and if you either A, fail the test, or 2, just do poorly on it. Because honestly, like for Washington State, for instance, most departments aren't going to look at somebody, not even going to look at you, if you don't have at least like a 90% on the test, if not a 95. Especially depending on how many people apply for that spot. If you're getting 10,000 people applying for one position, they're going to have to take like the top 3% of people to move on to the next phase. So don't be discouraged. Keep after it. I took the written test 4 times to get to a score that was good enough to give me some solid interviews. I interviewed 4 or 5 places before I got hired, and I'm on the low end. I know dudes that have taken the test a dozen times, people that interviewed at like 30 different departments before they got hired. It is not a quick and simple process. Some people will. We have a guy that I work with now who is in my academy. His very first fucking place he put scores in at was where we work now, and he got it like right out the gate. And I harass him every day because of it, although he just laughs because he knows that I had to put in a hell of a lot more work than he did. And some people get lucky, and they're jerks. But be prepared to have to test and interview over and over and over and over. Like one of the dudes jokes that he has enough rejection letters where he could like wallpaper his bedroom with them. So you got to keep after it. And that's a big thing in the fire service is you got to be persistent and you just can't quit. You have to get in there over and over and over and don't let it get you down. Don't let it make you quit. Just get in there and fucking keep kicking ass. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the main deal. From there, once you get a score that's good enough, the department will usually contact you and say, hey, we want to do an interview with you. We want to do it, on this day. And generally, they'll set a day and a time. But sometimes they'll let you pick. But be flexible. Be willing to take a day off work. Whatever you got to do to get to that interview. You don't want to miss it. The fire service interviews are kind of different, at least to me, in terms of how they're done. So what they'll do generally is they're going to have they're like a panel interview. So you're going to have like anywhere from 4 to like 10 people in a room, all facing you. And you're going to be sitting there in a chair just kind of by yourself. And they're just going to ask you one question at a time, and you're going to answer, and then they're all going to write something down. They're not going to smile generally. It's a pretty weird deal because you'll like say something that could be legitimately funny, and they're going to just stay like deadpan to it. It's weird. It's weird. And it'll throw you off, but don't let it throw you off. And then what I found helped was that after every interview, I went and I wrote down every question they asked me, and then I was able to tweak my answers to those questions, which I found helped because there's some of the answers that I gave for some questions where I'm like, really, you idiot, like what the hell were you thinking, And So get back. Don't be afraid to go back and edit yourself and adjust your answers. And be honest, for your whatever answers you're giving, but you can adjust them and word them differently where, it comes across as better or more intelligent or whatever. And you have to, one, dress very well. Wear, for guys, wear nice like work shoes, like business type shoes. Wear nice slacks, wear a button up, wear a tie, and spend some okay money on it. If you have to, and I understand not everybody has just a shit ton of money to throw down on a suit, and you want to wear a jacket too. But if you're going to spend any money on anything, save up and spend it on a decent suit, just because they look at that and they look at people who take the time to prepare themselves professionally, and who get in there and present the very best possible version of themselves to them. Because you got to think, these guys and gals that will be interviewing you, they're interviewing you because you could possibly work with them for 30 plus years. And you want to make sure that person will be a good fit and that they're going to integrate well with that department. And so they want to see that you're willing to put the effort into presenting yourself nicely. So yeah, get in there and do that. And I'm going to say don't be nervous in an interview, but everybody's nervous during an interview. So there's no way around it. But you have to understand that everybody that's interviewing you has been in that position before. They've all been nervous. They've all sat in that chair. They've had to deal with what you are currently dealing with. And if you just kind of think that to yourself, remind yourself of that, I think it'll probably help you. And coming across, calm, not like a cocky asshole, but coming across calm and confident is huge. And they can read that very well. So definitely just be as calm as you can, answer the questions honestly, and you'll do fine. But like I said, edit your stuff after the fact, readjust if you need to. And sometimes, like once the whole hiring process is over, if you get rejected, you can go back and you could hit up their hiring officer, whoever they kind of had designated in charge of that, and you could say, hey, I was wondering if you could run me through the questions, or run me like kind of tell me where I failed in your eyes, and what I could do to improve in the future. And just see, maybe you're doing something that you don't realize you're doing, or you're saying something or whatever. It doesn't hurt to call them back or just go down there in person, whatever their deal is, and just ask that. So that's something I'd keep in mind. And those are probably the biggest things. You'll have your initial interview with generally like some captains, regular firefighters, possibly like a lieutenant. And then from there, if you pass that, chances are you're going to go up to the chief, whether it's a battalion chief or all the way up to the actual fire chief of that department. And they're generally the same sort of deal. But now they're narrowing it down, and they're for sure picking out of that group of people who they want to hire. So, and for me, like I was super nervous. Like there was one time, the very first interview that I did, I almost literally got up and walked out as I was waiting in the waiting area. I was so nervous, and I don't know why I was so nervous. I had no reason to be nervous, but I was. But something that helped me is that I told myself, I'm like, you know what? Like, you still will have a job if this doesn't go well. You're not going to die. You're going to get to go home and see your wife and your kids. After this, just calm down. It's all good. Everything will be fine. And that really helped. Like, I calmed down and busted the interview out, and I felt a lot better afterwards. Because I know me, and I wouldn't have been able to live with myself if I had left. Like, I wouldn't have been able to. So yeah, I mean, that's probably some of the best advice I can give. Don't quit. Be professional. And just get after it. And if you do that and you stay at it, like there's dudes that I know who literally, they were trying to get hired for 8 or 9 years before they actually got hired. So don't quit after the first rejection. If you do, you'll never get to do this job. And trust me, it is worth every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears that you'll put into it. So yeah, guys, hopefully this was helpful for anybody that was interested in looking into the fire service. And yeah, if I have any other videos, you guys will see them here on the old timeline. And I'll see you next time. Semper Fi. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. If you liked it, toss that like button down below, smash it up, and subscribe if you liked it even more. And if not, let me know why you didn't like it. You know, you say you're ugly or you're mean or something, and I will work on it. But yeah, appreciate you watching. Catch you next time.